Good morning, everybody watching us streaming live on YouTube and watching us on twitch.tv/Vince Russo Live. I am here with the great Billy Botti of the DirtySheets.com. Billy, your name always gets brought up on all the other shows. You sent me a document that I had seen before, and it was so out of my realm of believability that I thought it was a joke. However, you came on here last week and told us about the $100 million AEW plan.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I believe that makes all the sense in the world. So now when I'm looking at this document you sent me, and I'm thinking of, okay, this company is willing to lose $20 million a year. It was not as far-fetched as I originally thought. Can you tell me a little bit more about this document? Is it fact? Is it fiction? Tell me a little bit more about it.
It's fact, but the fact is that you need to understand what it is, and people very much misconstrued it. Some people thought it was a joke, some people thought it was fake, and others thought that it was maybe a monthly document. It's an annual document. What the salaries and the payouts that are disclosed there are an annual document. It's part of what all companies need to do every April, and you'll see the date on there was April, and that was the part that this is the difference between fact checking and speculating and people that don't do their jobs correctly. Once you know that it's April and that's year round, it's in the States, it's in the UK, where everybody has to declare all of their expenses and do their taxes and everything worldwide, I think. That makes it all make perfect sense, because if they're paying Meltzer $200,000 a month, I don't know what the figures are exactly because I don't have the document in front of me.
I think it was 233 for Meltzer, I think.
Yeah, 233. If you're telling me that it's 233 a month, it's a rip. If you're telling me it's 233 a year, that's perfectly believable, depending on the valuation that they put on a Dave Meltzer. Now, if we're looking at this company and looking at all of the wrestlers they hire and the way that they're built and who they write for, bearing in mind this is the guy that they write TV for. If he likes it, they think that most people will like it. If he doesn't like it, then they feel that they've done a bad show. And that's not how you should run a wrestling company, especially when you're planning to lose $100 million to compete with the WWE. But me and you are not going to get through to the way Tony Khan wants to see wrestling. We're not going to be able to change what his ideologies are, because he came in with his own ideologies and his own money, and he's going to do whatever he wants. So when you look at what Meltzer's paid, and you look at what an Orange Cassidy's paid, or a Frankie Kazarian, or a Christopher Daniels, who has more value to AEW if you're in Tony Khan's mindset? Meltzer writing stuff about you all year round and telling everybody you're the best for $200,000, or Frankie Kazarian or Christopher Daniels or Orange Cassidy having their little match on the show? I think it's got to be Meltzer, right?
I would think so, yeah, especially when he talks about his history with Meltzer, and he was reading Meltzer when he was 5 years old. I mean, when you know the history and the pedestal he puts Meltzer on, Meltzer is a guy that is very, very important to him.
Yeah, and we've got some stuff about Meltzer here on the other side, because he reported a story this week which is just ridiculous, and it's probably not going to be true. As far as I understand, it's not going to be true. We'll talk about that on the other side, because I think people do put Meltzer in this light, and I think that if you want to put him in a light in a high level, then I think that you have to either be somebody that wants to be a dirt sheet. So if you're starting up a dirt sheet and you're trying to make money off it, you look at the Meltzer model and you think, wow, this guy's done really well for himself. He's managed to convince everybody since the late 80s that his opinion is really important, and even to the point where wrestlers, like real intelligent and well thought of wrestlers like Bret Hart, put stock into his rating of their matches. Like Bret would wait for the Meltzer rating and would go and have a look at what it was and criticize himself or rate himself on the basis of what David said. So this, you can't just dismiss Dave Meltzer and turn around and say he's a complete mark and he's a waste of space and everything. I like Russo has had, because he has his place, and that's basically being a historian who knows everything. He can talk to you about Japan and WWE and anything else that's going on in wrestling. He can tell you what happened probably off the top of his head. I know he's losing his mind a little bit, but he can probably remember stuff from back in the 80s and 90s. But when it comes to the main hook as to how he hooks people in, which is pretending that he knows everybody and pretending he knows everything that's going to go on, that's where I have a problem with him, because I don't think he needs to do that. For $10.99 a month for the Observer, you get the whole back catalogue, and you can read up on why he says the Ultimate Warrior was leaving in 96, or why this guy dropped the belt, or why Austin didn't want to work with Jeff Jarrett, according to Meltzer. You can go back and look at all of this stuff that he wrote and whether he was right or wrong, and you get all of that and all of his shows. What you don't get is information about what's coming up moving forward. And also what you don't get is a grasp of reality, where he's come out with comments recently saying, oh, big networks need to invest in AEW because that's what people want to see. Meltzer doesn't know anybody that doesn't watch wrestling. I'm sure he doesn't, apart from his own children. And even his kids and their friends, he's trying to convert them at birthday parties. So he really doesn't even want to know anybody that doesn't watch any wrestling. So that's how Meltzer is fine and respected within a very small bubble. And if Tony Khan's in that bubble, you can understand why he feels this way about him and why he will pay out this money.
Billy, let me tell you this. I will be the first one to say, I'm going to break this down for everybody, because, guys, I want you to understand, like, there's no personal ill will with me and Meltzer. Bro, listen, I've said it a million times. I think the guy's a goof. I think he's a totally goof. Bro, when you got to contemplate my daughter's birthday party or wrestling, in my mind, you're a goof. But I will say this about Dave. I'm going to be totally honest here. Dave has made a shitload of money over the last 25, 30 years, maybe even longer. Now, part of that, bro, is the guy's work ethic. Bro, Dave Meltzer's work ethic is equivalent to that of a Vince McMahon. I have said many, many, many times, bro, I think part of the reason why I can't understand Meltzer on a psychological level is I really do believe the guy is autistic. I don't say that as a shot. I don't say that as a joke. I believe he's autistic. So, bro, I got to tell you something, man. With all the money this guy's made, he's earned every dime.
Right. And when just for guys, because not everybody here is a smart. When Vince says that, Meltzer does a newsletter for $10.99 a month. He's the most quoted journalist in wrestling. If he only has 2,000 subscribers at that level, which he doesn't, I'm sure he has more, he would be making $22,000 a month if he just had 2,000. So
right.
sorry, Vince, carry on. I just wanted to bring this
guy makes a shitload of money, and I'm the first one to say, I'm raising my hand, bro, and I'm saying with his work ethic, he deserves to. That's not my issue. What I don't like about Meltzer is, bro, he's he's a pompous, arrogant a-hole at times, bro. And he never phrases anything as my opinion. Everything he states everything as fact, which is his opinion. And I don't like the fact he's pompous, he's arrogant, he thinks he knows everything, bro, when part of knowing everything is having worked in the business. That is a part of it. Bro, if you were in a locker room, if you were, 2 feet away from Bill Goldberg when he wanted to freaking rip your head off, and it's just you and him in a ring, like you need that experience in order to really have a knowledge of the inner workings. Bro, he doesn't have an inner knowledge of television. Every time this guy talks about ratings and TV executives, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I worked with television executives with 3 networks. all the time. So my thing is, it's like, bro, listen, I'm the first one to say when there are things I don't know, I will tell you I don't know. I'm not going to tell you I'm schooled on New Japan. I don't have a clue because I don't care. But my problem with Dave is just the arrogance, Billy. He's just an arrogant prick, man.
Yeah, that has come more to light recently. It seems like since he's been challenged by people, or there's been more people like me who have whose news is better and more accurate, and then it seems to be as it begins to circulate, or other people, not just me, other people are actually better than Meltzer. Mike Johnson is better than Davis, and when people start to challenge him with this and him being wrong, and he's going to be wrong again this weekend. He gets defensive in terms of, like, we've seen this Meltzer attitude sort of progress over Twitter, I think, since the start.
Oh, big time. Yes, big time. Billy, his
when those questions are asked, and he retweets them with his cold answer.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. That's a new thing, certainly, because maybe the access, this is what social media does. It gives you a bigger access to people, and sometimes maybe the enhanced access is something that people can't cope with, and that's probably what has been the problem for him.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank Shane 1990 on YouTube. Shane just donated a $2.99 super sticker. Guys, please feel free to donate to this. Russo's brand super stickers on Twitch. You can cheer, you can resub. All right, Billy, give me a little something. Give me wet my whistle a little bit for our Nitty Gritty Dirt Show over there on Patreon.
Yeah, well, let me just see what we've got up here. We have one story here, which is going to go completely against what Meltzer's saying. We have a little bit more information here about something that AEW are doing in terms of how they're marketing themselves in the figure industry, in the collectible industry. There's a massive hatred towards somebody backstage, or you know what? We don't even have to pretend who. It's Bruce. There's big issues with Bruce.
I gotta tell you something, bro. It's funny that you're bringing this up. Before, I hate to interrupt you, but I gotta tell you, Billy, I swear to God, because I see, this is the difference between me and Dave. I actually wanted to take a picture of this and tweet it out, but I'm like, Vince, don't be an asshole. Like, don't be an asshole like that. Billy, I remember during the Attitude Era, Billy, you didn't have Toys R Us in England, did you?
Yeah, we did. We only just closed like 2 years ago.
Okay, bro. Yeah, me too. I used to go in Toys R Us all the time to look at the figures. But Billy, I remember the Attitude Era. Toys R Us, Target, Walmart. Bro, you would go down that wrestling aisle. Bro, it would be both sides of the aisle. Like, they had every freaking imaginable WWE toy, WCW toy at the time you could imagine. I mean, like an entire row, both sides.
You know, that was my first job, Vince, when I was 16.
Oh, was it really, bro?
Yeah, I worked at Toys R Us, yeah.
I love Toys R Us. I'm a big mark for Toys R Us. Billy, this is no joke. I went into Target this week because I always look at the figures. I collect some Funkos. I always look at the figures. Bro, you know the little hooks they put the hooks in the pegboard and then they put the figures. Bro, there were 4 WWE hooks. 4 right. Hooks with a total of about 8 figures. And I wanted to take a picture of this because this is an example. Like, people can say, oh, bro, the ratings are down because there's different ways to watch the show and this, that, and the other thing. Bro, there were 8 WWE action figures in freaking Target. And, bro, Christmas is not far away. But I didn't want to be the asshole. But, bro, like, I remember the freaking merch in stores when wrestling was hot. But finish your story, bro, because I love anything about Bruce being hated. Go ahead, bro. Yeah,
well, we'll talk about it on the other side, specifically why. I mean, it's the last couple of things are something in terms of regulation about COVID and as to why WWE are coming out with names, and a big bit of news on Roman Reigns, which I probably think will be the main bit of news for some people. So we'll look at that. But yeah, I mean, there's major heat on Bruce, which we'll talk about why. And at this point, I'm not understanding, Vince, why he's not being let go, because the ratings haven't stayed up. The Thunderdome ratings for Raw are terrible. This week is the Chiefs and the Ravens, and I'm predicting that they're going to get absolutely pulverized. This week's Raw, and I'm talking about post-wrestling, I'm talking about Alvarez, I'm talking about Dave, I'm talking about Saturn, I'm talking about everybody that covers this, whether I like them or not. Unanimous, worst Raw ever across the board. That's what they were saying. And I don't think it is. But the fact that they were saying that, I definitely think it's up there. But in terms of, because they're looking for a lot of common sense and things to make sense, and if things are really out of whack, then these guys criticize it heavily. And I agree with them. And I don't often agree with these people, but you can't defend what the WWE put out on Monday. It just doesn't. Every story was butchered. From the retribution to the stuff that they're doing with Ray and Rollins. And remember, we revealed it on the show, so we can talk about it now on the other side. Bruce and Kevin's nickname among the boys is copy-paste high five. And he tried to copy and paste a Rey Mysterio story from 15 years ago, where they did the adoption. And even Ray was in the ring, and he was like, yeah, we did this, like while they were on the air. I mean, I couldn't believe how bad it was.
Yeah. Listen, I want to thank Wrestler for $1.49 super sticker on YouTube. Thank you very much, Mr. Wrestler. I appreciate it. All right, Billy. So we got a lot to talk about. Bruce, Roman Reigns, and any other stories we're going to talk about?
No, we're going to focus on those. But I was going to sort of elaborate on something we spoke about last week in terms of, it definitely seems to me that we're not going to talk about retribution or anything like that, because that's a mess. What I will say is that the identities of the Retribution guys was identified by me first on the other side. First of all, in terms of who was playing them, and second of all, last week or the week before, even I think it was last week, where we actually said these are the confirmed guys. These guys were under the masks, and they're going to be the characters. And now that came to fruition once WWE decided. They didn't even sit on that decision for 1 week. They literally put them straight out there. Once we knew that it was going to be Madden and Dijakovic and Mia Yim, and I forget, Martinez was the other girl. The other guy, Slapjack, I know who that is as well, and I'll talk about that on the other side as well. But the other thing was the Rey Mysterio's daughter storyline. That is actually going to be that, and I don't understand how they come to this. There's outrage online. I don't share the same outrage. There's this certain outrage that's coming up where it's like, oh, Murphy's 31 and she's 19, and how can you do this story? I tell you what, we can do this story, and I'll explain it to you, and I'll even like use props to explain it to you and what's going through his mind, right? If Vince McMahon, and then it's story time for you guys. Vince McMahon always turns around and says, I will never get the guys to do anything that I wouldn't do, right? We can even look at the documentary where he's doing a stunt where he's trying to convince Rob Gronkowski to do it. At 70-something years of age, he takes that bump first, right? So he put his daughter in this position years ago. He sexualized her. And also, this whole thing with a 31 and 19, let me tell you something. I'm older than 31. If a 19-year-old is giving me eyes at the bar and she wants to go home, I'm leaving the pub, right? So you can't say that, because it just shows a massive lack of. Go on, sorry, Vince.
Well, you got to back up, Billy. Billy, here's the biggest issue in it. Like, honestly, why say she's 19? Like, why give that age? There's no reason to give the age.
Because that's where I think that they are getting off on it, because I think they want her to be 19, and that, you shake your head, but I think that is where they're getting off. Look at the guys, right? So I got these props here, and I was going to actually use this. I was going to use this, but then I figured, like, he didn't deserve for me to open the figure just to talk about it. So I'm going to use like a more appropriate.
Wait a minute, hold the fuck. That's supposed to be Bruce.
You think it buries? You think it's offensive to Homer Simpson?
I go ahead, play this out. I want to see how this plays out with this little puppet.
This is exactly what they're thinking. So Vince is standing over here, and he's gone, damn, that's Ray's daughter. Bruce, that Ray's daughter. Bruce. That's where he'll be. That's where he'll be hiding. That's how he keeps that job, because he's here all the time.
No, it's funny. It's funny, Billy, that you say that, because Billy, I was the one, and I'm not saying this for credit or anything. There's no credit in this. I just want to explain this for you. You know, I was the one, me and Ed, we proposed using Stephanie on television. But bro, remember the Stephanie that was our character. She was innocent Stephanie.
Oh, we'll get to it. Yeah.
Yeah, she was innocent little Stephanie, kidnapped by the Undertaker, falling in love with Tess. Bro, I remember, like, we had a match with her and Tess and Jeff and Deborah McMichael. She had pigtails and sneakers. This was our view of Stephanie, the innocent, puppy-eyed little girl. Bro, what they did to her the minute we left brings a lot of credence to what you're saying right now.
That's exactly. I can tell you, this is exactly how the conversation went, and I'll breeze through. That's Ray's daughter. She looks fantastic. I can imagine her turning out exactly like Stephanie.
Wow, bro, that's a good Vince with the UK accent and everything. Go ahead, bro. I'm into this. Go ahead.
What do you think, Bruce? I know exactly what the people want. They want to see her get. They want to see her get banged.
Billy, come on. This conversation didn't go on, Billy. Come on.
Are you sure, boss? Oh yeah, exactly like Stephanie. We want to get her banged. We want to hook her up. We want to get her them big titties. Oh, Stephanie's titties. Oh, my daughter has great tits.
Oh God.
Sorry, Bruce. I got dizzy there. I was thinking about my daughter's tits right there. Sorry. Yeah, we want to give what the people what they want. We want to see this girl get banged. And damn it, we own it. We had her birth. We had her 9th birthday. And now, damn it, we're gonna have that virginity right here on our show. We're gonna give the people what they want. Vince, you're right and everything, but we didn't actually have her birth on the show. She wasn't born here. Shut up, Bruce. We're going to give the people exactly what they want. And what they want, if they want to see this girl grow up on a show, 9th birthday, 19 years old, banged, big titties. That's exactly what we're going to do. And there ain't a damn thing that anybody's going to do to stop it. It's going to be great. That's the
Billy, you know what brings credence to that again? Guys, see, Billy, I got to tell you, I don't know if you listen to any shows during the week. I'm your biggest fan, bro. I always put over what you say, and you're always right. And remember, Billy, all the email I got prior that people were burying me for doing.
Did you still get that email?
No, not a word. Not a freaking word. But Billy, guys listening on YouTube and Twitch. Guys, listen to what I'm about to tell you. This is why what Billy says make absolute sense. Billy, I go on there practically every week. I'll say 75% of the time. Okay? Charlie Caruso is a beautiful woman. And bro, I'm not getting into hot. No, she's beautiful. She's got a beautiful face. She's got a beautiful body. She's a beautiful woman. Bro, 75% of the time, she's dressing from head to toe. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you want guys to watch this show? Do you want to draw ratings? Let Charlie be sexy, bro. She came out in like a muumuu or something 3 weeks ago. And I'm like, what the frig are you guys doing? Like, this girl is a natural beauty. Use that to your advantage, bro. What the frig was 19-year-old Elia wearing on Monday? Could her shirt have been any tighter, bro? So that's why what Billy is saying here, bro. Listen, I don't doubt it. Why is Charlie dressing from neck to ankle? And then Miss Aaliyah, bro, she's got this half shoulder tight as can possibly be. So that's why when Billy says something like this, I'm like, you know what, bro? There very well can be credence to this.
Right, because let me tell you what they think is sexy, and they go from like one extremes to the other. If a blonde walks in there with the big plastic tits, like their head will go to it, to them it's blonde, big boobs is sexy, and they'll try and do something with it if they can. And on the other side of that coin, if they see this like young 19-year-old coming in and she's more attractive than people would anticipate, and they think that they can sexualize it. They know they can sexualize big boobs, big plastic boobs blonde, and they also know that they can sexualize 19-year-old teenager. They don't know what to do with Charlie Caruso. They don't know what to do with Peyton Royce. They don't know what to do with various. I mean, there's women on the show.
Yeah, what you call it, bro? That was another one was Moxley's wife.
Right.
Moxley's wife, beautiful, beautiful woman. They did not know how to showcase that and how to present her, bro.
No, and I guarantee you that they're looking at this, and they're looking at this audience, and it's that whole thing where it's like, where she's 19 and she's turned out. I'm really like digging into like controversial territory, but I think there honestly is. That was a joke bit that we did, but I think there's some genuine thing in their head where they go, Jesus, how hot is it that we saw her when she was 9, and we're like, and they've seen her from like 9 to 19. They're predicting that there's a curiosity among their fans that a 9-year-old has developed into an attractive girl, and that they want to see the next level. Like that's the fucked up thing that they're probably thinking. But the thing is that is an issue. But the issue of her doing a storyline with Murphy, and the most part that people have turned to is what is Murphy's age, where they're going, oh, they can't do anything with a 31-year-old. They can't do anything with a 31-year-old. Well, 19 and 31, there's nothing illegal about it. The problem is that you do have you have Chuck Caruso on the show. You have tons of other women all walking around the show. They turned everybody into wrestlers, which I had a big problem with. And I said for a long time, there's better utilization of women. And I was talking about sexualization, because before COVID, the hookers and the strippers and everything else, they weren't hurting for money. These are industries that exist. And I'm not saying that this is what women should do. And I'm not saying this is what WWE should do. Before I get myself in more shit, and I already lost the Twitter account over this, I was saying there is a different utilization of women. They can be valets. Sable, Sunny, they all sexualize themselves while they're on TV. Sunny was almost at a point where she was underutilized, where she wasn't used in enough stories, and they started to use her to plug Karate Warriors. Do you remember the Karate Warriors? And
yeah.
Was sponsored by and doing bits of and advertising T-shirts and all that kind of stuff. And that at the time, those girls were not necessarily used in stories. And if any story that was done, it was to get Sable ahead of Mark Merrow, which is always going to be a problem politically when you're trying to push the wife ahead of the husband, because I really think that Merrow was probably hating that, and you know better than me if you want.
Yeah, it was hard on him, yeah.
But that's the kind of stuff. But now you can do all of these like stories, and everybody's wrestling. Every single person's wrestling. Charlie is doing 50 pointless interviews a night, and every woman is wrestling. Lana's wrestling. She shouldn't be near a ring at all. She says there's a much better way to utilize it. But
bro, I was just talking about this morning with PJ Polanco, bro. The only one I want to look at on AEW wrestling is Penelope Ford. She's the only one I want to. She is a beautiful, stunning girl. And what if they got her as the third wheel, bro? They got Rusev and the Sean Spears guy. Is it Spears or Kip? I get them mixed up. The Kip guy. and she's way in the background. And I'm like, are you guys like just purposely trying not to draw normal heterosexual males? Is
And
that
then
what you're trying to do?
JR gets buried by their fans every time he points it out.
God, it's ridiculous, bro. Like, when did normal, average, hot-blooded American men stop wanting to look at beautiful women? When did that happen, Billy?
Well, this is the thing. So as I was finishing my point, you have all of these people, every wrestler, who person that they decide is going to be in a romantic or sexual style. Let me tell you, it's going to be sexual because she's going to turn heel, and she's going to end up being Murphy's girlfriend and linked with Seth. And then when you're in Seth's stable as you are, that's when all the leather and all the shit's going to come out, and she's going to start wearing knee-high boots and everything. Like I said, I don't have a problem with it. Like, I don't think that it's not illegal to think 19-year-old girls are attractive. That's the thing. Girl between 18 to 24, this is the peak, and this is obviously booming in all industries, porn industries, strip clubs. There's no denying it at all. This is the age that men will lust after, and the company know it. The problem is going to be not the Murphy thing. The problem is going to be when you have all of these women at your disposal that could have come into these roles, and they've all been made to wrestle. You use the girl that we saw as 9 years old, who is now 19 and can wrestle. She's a trained wrestler. She's been training as long as Dominic. She's supposed to be the big worker coming out of the Mysterio family moving forward. And immediately they've seen this. If she wants to wrestle after this, how is she going to when she's in this storyline with Murphy and then she ends up turning heel? But like I said, the priority is what Vince thinks, and he thinks that people want to see her get banged, and that's it. And that's what he thinks that we want to see when. Actually, like, you had a whole host of women that you could have used, but it doesn't surprise me at all. And the thing is that I think that we're going to talk about this a lot on the other side, because this is going to be a large portion of our conversation. The minute that they hired Bischoff and Heyman, they entered into something which they hadn't been involved in a long time, which is having somebody that was above the head writer, like the general I forget what their position was. Head of creative, general manager is what the TV role, I think. But a specific head of creative for the brands hadn't existed. All you'd had is head writers and Vince to go off. As soon as they introduced these roles, and then as soon as Pritchard took over from Bischoff, then you had people for Vince to liaise with. And as soon as it became Bruce, all of a sudden, there's nobody there who's turning around to Vince and saying, don't do that, or we shouldn't do this, or we should, because you have now Vince and Vince Jr., Vince's trainee. Vince is, I would say, somebody who's closer to Vince than Shane. And I'm not even like exaggerating. And I'm not Vince Russo either, and I haven't worked with the company, but I've heard it from so many people that this guy thinks, acts, and is exactly like Vince. And when you have like a suitor father from when you're 22 years old or whatever, that's going to happen, because you don't know shit at 22. I know that we're supposed to be really mature. Look, I went on a TV show and I spent nearly all of the money that I earned in the first year getting hotels, getting cabs to hotels, stupid shit like drugs and multiple TVs and I on holidays. Honestly, just give me half of the money back that I wasted because I didn't need to, and that was because I was 22. And most 22-year-olds are morons, and they will be influenced by everybody around them. I'm nothing like I was when I was 22.
Billy, that's why I'm telling you, Billy, that had a lot to do with my success. Exactly what you're saying, bro. I was 33. 34 when I was, head writer of the WWE. I was 33, 34. Bro, I had already worked for CBS. So I worked for CBS when I went to the WWE. I was an adult.
And
I was
let me ask you a question,
I had children. I wasn't this 22-year-old, doe in the headlights every time freaking, I saw Vince McMahon. I was a grown man. I knew about business. I owned my own business. I worked at CBS Publishing. What you're saying has a lot of merit, bro.
And it's not just that. I bet you any money that 10 years after you were 33, you were even more mature and calmer than that. Because at 33, you probably had that impulsive part of you that just exploded and did things before your head. Like every 10 years with men, you'll have something where we're supposed to like turn into a man after you hit puberty. You don't. Maybe that happens for women when they get their periods and they probably mature a lot faster than us. We don't. There's something that happens with men, and this is beyond wrestling now. This is from my experience. Every 10 years, I'll be more grown up. Maybe it will happen.
Right on, bro.
Maybe it'll be because I've had a kid, but I don't react to shit now. Even if it means like making the decision to get someone to open a Twitter account and let them manage it. I would not even have thought of that 5 years ago because I wanted to respond and argue with every person. When I was 22, I couldn't save any money because I just wanted to spend it. And when my parents told me, oh, give us a little bit here because we think you're going to waste this. No, mum and dad, this is my money. Like you don't get to tell me anything anymore. That was me. 22, 27, 32. It's all different all the time. It's a constant evolution with men. And then I think you do get to a point, and I would say it could be as late as your 40s when you're finally calm. You don't respond to shit. You're like your mental health is in a much better position, but you are all over the place in your 20s and your 30s, less in your 30s and even less in your 40s. And if you tail a guy or you take on this role model and you look up to Vince McMahon, and then people are saying in 2020 he's exactly like Vince, it's no difference, then that explains it, and they're not wrong. Every guy that's told me
dead on, bro. You are dead on. And then, bro, when he went to TNA, he tried to be Vince. Like, you are dead on, Billy. Every decade. When I was 20s, I was a certain way. 30s, change. 40s, change. 50, like, you are dead on. This is the same guy in the wrestling bubble that was selling magazines as an 8-year-old kid. It's that same guy. That
comes down to your influence. Your influences and your atmosphere changed, but his atmosphere and his influence has never changed.
Yes, dead on. Hey, I want to put Troy over. Troy, thank you for cheering bits on Twitch. Guys, you can follow me on twitch.tv/Vince Russo Live. All right, bro, let's talk about DirtySheets.com. Let's talk about lock betting. Give me all of this, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, the first thing I want to plug this week, because my guy that I work with is going crazy, and I wanted to do it right at the beginning of the show, but you came at me with the AEW stuff. But I will try and do a decent plug for it next week at the top. We do a podcast, the Dirty Sheets. It's a podcast, and my guy that I work with, he lives in California, so he got the short straw because we wanted to know how we're going to make this podcast better and how we're going to get more people to listen to it. Well, we made it shorter, so it's always an hour. And the second thing we tried to do is we tried to be out first. So he wanted me to stay up at 4 a.m. in the UK, watch Raw live and record it straight after. And I said, I'm not that dedicated. And then the other alternative was he was going to wake up at 4 a.m. and I was going to record it at 12 p.m. the next day on Tuesday. And we agreed to that. So he's getting up at 4 a.m. to do the show with me. We do it for 1 hour. We talk about the entire week of wrestling, Raw and SmackDown. And this week we've got a pay-per-view preview. So I want to plug that because that's the bread and butter. That's how I came into this industry as a podcaster in 2014. I was on the Steel Cage and now I'm on the Dirty Sheets. So the Dirty Sheets is now 4 years old. And I do that every Tuesday morning with Cav, and Cav wakes up at 4 a.m. So that's the first thing that I want to plug, and there's no money in that for me at all. I just want to, before I plug my money stuff, I want to say that first. The second thing is the DirtySheets.com, which is right here. That's where you can get your picks for Clash of Champions this week and UFC 253. There's a combat pack there for $40. But if you want all sports, it's a completely different website. It's lockbetting.com. Every month I post my spreadsheet from the month. I've actually changed my Twitter name now because they asked me to. It's at SGP Soccer. So it's not at SGP EPL, it's at SGP Soccer, which we think is a lot easier because EPL is the name of the Premier League. But I recently was given more work. Soccer became very popular in the lockdown in the absence of American sport. So I'm now covering various leagues. So the Twitter is at SGP EPL, and you can see the P&L spreadsheet for lockbetting.com. But covering NBA, MLB, the NHL, the NFL, where we are 10-1. I finally lost the game. On the spread on Monday on the Saints. We're now 10-1 on the year ATS. And even at lockbetting.com, you can still get soccer and you can still get the WWE for the weekend over at lockbetting.com. And the last thing is at Austin's Toys. All this stuff behind me is where you can find that. He just posted this figure this week.
Oh, nice. Oh, that's nice, bro. That is nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice that one. So yeah, he just posted that yesterday, and he'll be doing something else today. So that kind of stuff is over at Austin's Toys, and that's all my stuff, I think.
Yeah. Well, guys, me and Billy are going to go hop on Patreon now, guys. Patreon.com/Russo TWC. Now he's going to get into the news. Now he's going to get into the dirt. Now he's going to get into the nuts and bolts. Let us know everything that's going to go on before it happens. You guys want to go to patreon.com/Russo TWC. Go ahead, Billy.
Sorry, I interrupted you. I dug this up this week. I haven't opened it. It was a sealed thing that I found in my drawer. I'm sure I've got an open version of this. Have you seen these? It's your time.
Yeah, I might have wrote those, bro.
WrestleMania 15. That's your mania.
Yeah, those are. Yeah, I might have wrote the back of those cards. I might have.
Well, they're not cards. These are actual photos.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, because I wrote some trading cards back in the day for the WWE, bro.
This is a sealed box, but I have the collection of this. I'm going to try and find it next week and see what photos are in there.
That's awesome.
See if you did. But I wanted to show you because I know from Meltzer, because he hates it, that this is your. Apparently, they call it, the dirt sheets call it Russo Mania. I don't know if you're aware of WrestleMania 15. I didn't know if you knew it was called Russo.
I didn't know that, bro. All I know is that they're hammering me today, Billy. Do you know why? You know why they're hammering me today? I woke up this morning getting hammered. You know why, Billy?
You know why? I don't know, but my boy Cab is hammering you as well, and I'm going to tell you why after you tell me why they're hammering.
I am being hammered today because 20 years ago today, I officially killed WCW by putting the title on myself when Bill Goldberg speared me through a cage. 20 years ago, bro. Goldberg spears me through a cage. I win the title on a fluke. I give up the title on the very next show. 20 years later, bro, they still haven't gotten over that.
Yeah, I don't expect that they will. I imagine that they'll be talking about you till they die, probably like with Cornette too. I think that he's talking about pissing on your grave, but I don't think he's going to end up. Either any of them are going to stop talking about. There'll be the 30-year anniversary of that, 100%. Yeah.
I know. What about your partner burying me?
He wasn't burying you necessarily, but he can't find your second book, and he listened to your first book because he doesn't like to read because he's preparing for a project that us guys are doing in the future, he's preparing for that. He's listening and doing everything Russo. He says your audiobook. Have you ever listened to it?
No.
Oh, Ted DiBiase. These are some of the pronunciations on it. Apparently, the guy cannot pronounce anything. So if you guys want to amuse, actually put some money in Vince's pocket and amuse yourself at the same time. You go and listen to his audiobook. You still get the money from that, right? You get
I don't even know who did it. No, I don't get a dime from that.
Oh, you should listen to it because apparently the pronunciations are completely off. You should try and narrate the book yourself, and a second one as well, because he says if you don't narrate the second one or somebody, he's gonna actually have to read something. So,
bro, I've tried to do that, but I wound up messing up so many times. I'm like, forget it. I'll never get through this, bro.
Yeah, Ted DiBiase was, I think.
Oh my God. geez. All right, guys, go over now. Patreon.com/RussoTWC. Me and Billy are going to give you the dirt. We'll see you over there, guys. All right, hold on one second.